This ongoing legal battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively isn't just a Hollywood feud, it's a masterclass in how manipulation and mass manipulation works in real time. So let's look at who is trying to manipulate who, or who is trying to manipulate us. And that's why I think so many people are interested in this whole situation, because it is not about just which team we belong to. It's actually about we don't want to be manipulated anymore. And why it's so important to look through these tactics so we can make a decision based on evidence. Today, we're going to be looking at how is the media being used and why it's so important to look through and do what we're doing, which is check the evidence, look for evidence. So let's look at what's actually happened, the timeline of events. If we go back to the beginning, it seems to have started when Blake got some backlash around the promotion of It Ends With Us. Now, the main thing here is it is a film about DV, and it's something that is very sensitive. Blake seemed to have some backlash in the media, and it appears it could be to do with how she was promoting it. It could be the fact that she was promoting her hair care products. She was also promoting her alcohol brand. Given the work that I do with people, which is to help people that deal with the trauma of being in toxic relationships, I believe that narrative would not have resonated with people. Because when you're dealing with DV, there's a higher percentage of people that have trauma around alcohol. And the last thing you're worried about is doing your hair when you've got trauma. It's really not something that is on a priority on your list. Life is difficult. It's tough. It's a really deep, painful experience. If you talk to anyone that's been through something like this, it actually changes your whole perception on life. So it's understandable that people that have been through trauma like this would have thought that this isn't appropriate. Then what appears to have happened, if you look at what Justin's attorney is saying, that apparently he was being pressurized to apologize for inappropriate behavior on set. Blake started getting backlash. They refused, saying, I've done nothing wrong, so I'm not going to apologize for something based on the fact that I haven't done anything wrong. Then Blake's team put a complaint in, and also they published, the New York Times published an article suggesting that Justin Baldoni was inappropriate. Then the backlash of that was that we all focused on that. Justin Baldoni had a lot of repercussions from that. He lost an award. His career was damaged to the point where he might not have worked again. So Baldoni did what anyone would do in that scenario. They've got nothing to lose now because everything's been taken from them. So he countersued, accusing her of fabricating the claims and orchestrating a smear campaign against him. Baldoni produced a huge amount of evidence showing the holes in the concrete evidence and then Baldoni's team produced more and more evidence showing that actually what Blake Lively was saying wasn't true. Now Blake and Ryan's legal team have basically asked for a gag order. However, there still seems to be some stories about Justin Baldoni that seem to be damaging his reputation that could be from Team Blake. Let's look at what is mass manipulation and how mass manipulation can occur. I want to introduce you to some of Chase Hughes' work. He's got a model called Fate. Chase is an expert in human behavior, and he studied for, I think, more than 20 years on how human behavior can be used to manipulate. And what he's done, he's looked at how mass manipulation can occur. If we look at historically, mass manipulation has been occurring for a very long time. Through media, through governments, through any institution. And this has been studied. And there's techniques that have been used to manipulate the masses. And historically, it has worked. But now, here's the thing. The world is changing thanks to people like yourself who are wanting to get to the truth and are trying to get their power back so that they can think for themselves. They don't want to be controlled by people who have power and influence. They're taking back their own power and control of what they think within their own minds. And these old Jedi mind tricks are not working as well as they used to. Why? Mainly because of social media, because people are talking up, speaking their truth. Every person can be seen, can be heard. And they're talking about what they can see and they're looking at evidence. They're searching and they're looking at what is the truth. And people like me and you can influence others. Yes, there's still those people that are doing mass manipulation and manipulating millions of people. And yes, there are people at risk of manipulation. And those are those people that aren't digging any deeper and looking for evidence. They're just believing what they're told. So let's look at Chase Hughes' fate model on how mass manipulation can occur. And I would invite you to explore how this could have been used between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. So the first thing that Chase talks about is focus. They get your attention by changing your direction of what you were focusing on before, something that you would have naturally been focusing on, and you start focusing on what they want to show you, selectively show you. So they might show you selective footage or text, or to try and control your attention. For instance, if you're getting bad press, you could change the focus to go on someone else or something else so that people can be manipulated into what you want them to see instead of what they are naturally seeing. The second thing in the fate model is authority, where people leverage lawyers, attorneys, PR specialists, and celebrity status, other people in power and control, to validate their claims, to drop. Don't be surprised if you start seeing intimacy coordinators saying, for instance, that this is SH, or channels with millions of followers start ignoring facts and wanting you to believe what they are saying based on no facts or ignoring facts. And it can be infuriating. Like, can't they see what's really going on? Why are they saying this when they're not looking at the evidence? Well, it's because they're purposely not looking at the evidence because they're in a position of authority and they want to manipulate the masses just through their positioning. The third thing in the model is called tribe, that they want you to pick a certain team because of a belief system that you might have. For example, women who have experienced trauma from DV, language might be used where you side with a woman, or because they are a woman and you're a woman. It's looking beyond that and realizing, well, DV can happen to anyone regardless of gender, regardless of background, regardless of anything. And it's really about finding the evidence. The fourth thing is emotion. Headlines where there's footage invoking sympathy or doubt, or those things are used on purpose. Certain words might be used to actually suppress critical thinking, where evidence is based on how someone feels. They're trying to shape and control you and manipulate you based on your feelings rather than the evidence. And this is used a lot. If someone's going through DV, they can find that the actual perpetrator is actually manipulating support systems, etc., through emotions, but not looking at the fact. And that's what they're trying to do. Manipulators are actually invoking a feeling within you, so you suppress your ability for critical thinking. So they're actually switching off parts of your brain on purpose through engaging emotion. Why is this so dangerous? These tactics actually limit your ability for critical thinking. When, for instance, one side of the story dominates, it prevents us from forming a balanced, independent opinion based on our opinions, based on our own thinking, based on the evidence. And this is key. We need evidence to ensure that we're using the critical thinking and we're not feeling things when things don't add up. So how do we draw parallels to toxic relationships? Manipulative individuals use similar strategies. They control through the narrative. They silence people through power and control, through using other people, through changing your focus, changing your direction, changing your narrative, and shifting the focus. So to avoid accountability, they silence others in a big way. So only their narrative is out there and they're manipulating the masses. And I actually think there's a mass change where we're healing our relationship to power because people want to get their power back. They don't want to be controlled. And some of the techniques that you can use, not just in this instance, but in life in general, is always pause and ask yourself, why is this narrative being pushed now? Who benefits? And question authority, even trusted figures or people with lots of following. They might have an agenda. They might have a reason. Maybe they have a financial gain by pushing a certain narrative. And spot emotional hooks. If you see titles which have strong emotions that trigger something in you that could cloud your judgment, just take some time to really allow that trigger to pass and then look for the evidence. Is this appropriate? Or is this trying to create fear in me for some reason or make me feel guilty in some way? And always dig deeper, always look at multiple perspectives before forming an opinion. I believe why this case matters so much to so many people is that this case isn't just about Hollywood. It's about how people don't want to be manipulated. Manipulation operates in all areas of life, from relationships to media. People just want to think for themselves. They want to be free to be themselves. And they don't want someone to tell you how to think anymore. It is about encouraging ourselves to have our independent thinking. And it is about having power for the people, where we're critically analyzing our daily lives and looking for evidence rather than just taking someone's word for things. In doing this, we're actually shifting humanity as a whole. It's about finding the truth for ourselves within ourselves. It's actually people regaining their own power to speak up, to have their own opinion, to have control over their own thinking, and to practice healing their relationship with power, to get their own voice. If someone isn't willing to see the evidence or they're ignoring evidence, it's really important to ask why. Why is this benefiting them? Or are they just being manipulated? Are they one of the masses that are being manipulated at the moment? Or are they a manipulator trying to manipulate you? So what do you think about this case? Whose side feels more truthful, more authentic to you? And why? Let me know your comments. If you found this video helpful, please hit subscribe. And together we can expose manipulation, mass manipulation, and reclaim your power to think for yourself. Keep reclaiming your power, your truth, so that we can all be free to be ourselves. Sending you love. Till next time.